wormholes, particle physics, extra dimensions. Are the wonders of so-called reality really what they appear to be? Or do we exist in an elaborate hologram? Is our universe the result of random activity or the result of intelligent design? If a creator was involved, can we discover him through our perception of divine order? This is Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck.
America in Prophecy, the Afterlife, Exodus, lots of exciting topics coming to you today in this episode of Into the Multiverse. I want to welcome to the show, of course, Christina Peck,
Hi.
co-hosting. How are you doing?
I'm good, as always.
Excellent. And we have back to the show by popular demand, Trey Smith. How are you doing, Trey?
I'm doing fairly well. Josh, it's an honor to be here with you.
Well, it's great to have you here. And the audience has actually sent me quite a few emails asking to bring you back. So I'm glad that we were able to work this out and that you had the time available. And we can't thank you enough.
Josh, it's an honor to be here with you today. And this is coming following, I'll tell you what. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have possibly imagined. I think the last time we talked, what had recently gone. I don't even think the election had happened.
No, it was right before that.
That's hard. I didn't even realize that until right now while we're sitting here.
Wow.
That we actually did that. It was actually pretty much a risk.
Yeah.
So last time we talked, Donald Trump was not even president of the United States.
Yeah, a lot has changed, a lot has progressed since the last time you were here, and man, what an exciting time to be alive, which is kind of ironic since we're talking about the afterlife in this, but well, there might be people who this is their first time viewing the show. Where can people find us online?
Okay, if it's your first time, welcome to Into the Multiverse. You can find us here on YouTube by going to youtube.com/Into the Multiverse. You can go to our homepage, skywatchtv.com, and you can scroll down and you'll find a banner of Josh and I with Into the Multiverse. If you click on it, it will bring you right here to our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. And if you have Roku, check us out on Roku under the Skywatch TV channel.
Yes, make sure that you do subscribe, and if you do so, you'll have access to all past, present, and future episodes, including the two that we did with Trey Smith a few months ago. So you have just put out a video, and from my understanding, it's actually something like extra footage from entities. And entities was a topic that we talked about the last time you were here.
What we did was, there was actually a lot of clips of things that I had wanted to use in something. And because they were so cool, and this person said this and stuff, that I wanted to squeeze them into something. And of course, this all dealt with the spiritual or the afterlife, and some things from that entity's documentary, particularly the end of it, that were important for people to just be able to see at no cost. And then, of course, at the end of that, we also did. It's the first time I made a music video. I made one for Anthony Meyer. I had done something for Casper McLeod.
Great guy.
He is. This is a rock star that died and came back to life.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. Yeah.
Well, it changed everything for him.
Yeah.
So in the clips you're watching there, you're watching people that have stepped out into another dimension.
And this it's called The Afterlife?
That's the title of the. So what it is it's a collection of things that we thought were interesting, and also some of the tail end of entities. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be disappointed if you click on it. So, you sit back on the couch and watch it. But there was some stuff always in that second disc of entities that I thought people really need to be able to get to this without having to pay for it.
Right.
And so that's what we did. And while we did that, we put some other things in there that I wasn't sure what I was going to use, but they were the kind of things that you sit back and you eat popcorn and say, wow, that's cool to look at.
Well, I know we certainly have done that at home with the kids even. The kids love your DVDs, by the way.
Yeah, they do.
Our kids love them. But I posted a picture on Facebook showing me and you with Jackie, our daughter. And but yeah, the kids love them. We watch them at home, and they're great.
Well, in this video, there's a person talking about orbs and pictures of orbs.
Yeah.
What do you believe these orbs are?
I think we're surrounded by a spiritual dimension that's right as close as the fingertips. And so in Randy's case, he's been photographing these things, and there's a lot of talk out there about capturing things in the infrared light spectrum, and I think that's that's what he does. He's so excited about it. It's fun to put him in a video just because I don't think he knows what it is. In my personal opinion, anything that's spiritual like that is coming up and is trying to entertain, it's probably demonic. Randy would disagree with that, but man, I love him to death. He's a good documenter of the stuff, and I love him to death. But I think it's best to leave these kind of things alone.
Yeah, I agree. When we had our trailer, Josh and I, there was a lot of activity going on in that trailer. It's a long story, but there was one time we had actually taken a few pictures. It was dark. We took a few pictures, and there's orbs that actually showed up on this digital camera of ours.
Yeah. This was in a room where a murder had taken place a few months before we moved in.
And we actually had the photo analyzed to make sure it wasn't dust or anything. A few of the orbs that were in there were giving off their own light.
Yeah.
And we had it analyzed, and somebody said, well, yeah, it's definitely a spiritual thing going on in there. So, yeah, I agree with you. I do believe it's demonic.
Yeah.
And I think that's why what you're doing is so important, too, because at that time we didn't have any kind of knowledge or discernment about spiritual warfare or what to do about it. Okay, so we got orbs in our house. What do we do about it? And it wasn't until later that we came across, this community, so like Elia Marzulli, people like yourself and other people, that we were able to learn some spiritual warfare. And we cleansed the house, and after that we didn't have any problems. But I think that's what makes, the types of things that you do with your movies so important for Christians today. And even non-Christians too.
Yeah, and driving it into just demonstrating to people who Jesus is the thing, because that's really what this last one was about. I think we're coming up into some times, some prophetic times, where there's a lot of different voices on what's going to come next. And when we did the Trump video, and if I could comment on that for just a second, because last time we were here, Trump had not actually won the election yet.
Right.
And I remember the morning of that election that all of the medias, I just looked down every screen, they already had all of the states blue on all of those electoral maps.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, if it's going to be God doing it, then it's going to happen. But there was, in my heart, there was some doubt about it, because you start looking down the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And everything's saying, the odds are 90%, which is generous for Trump that he could ever win. It was stupid that he ever even thought of, And that's what they all said. There was like the hee ha ha thing that he was even running. Now, there was this one article that Janet Reno had died. Janet Reno had died hours before the day of the election. And she struggled with, I think, Parkinson's since the 90s. It's something that she managed and struggled with. But on this particular day, one day before the election, she had died. And I read that article, and I knew the moment that I read that Donald Trump it was like the Lord said he's going to win, because she was, many months before that, she had stated, and I remember her saying that God would never allow Donald Trump to be president in her lifetime.
Right.
She died one day before he was elected. And I was sitting there with, I had, I think Henry Schaefer and these guys, they had worked out the math that Trump had won a lot before it was released on the media. But because they were, I don't know what they were doing over there, but they were all working out. And I was on there with Michael, and he was trying to work out stuff too. And he was like, oh, another state went red. And I was actually kind of jealous afterwards, because I looked over at him. I said, man, Michael, you live over there in the UK. You look so nervous about this. And he looked over. He goes, okay, I've got to admit to you, I may have placed a couple of bets on Trump. And the odds were 5-1. Again, so this means if you put 100 in, you got 500 back plus your 100. And I think the max bet, anyhow, as it turned out, he had a lot of debt That yeah, Donald Trump, that election paid for. I've never seen anybody happier. He's sitting there, he's counting. I was amazed they paid him.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
He said that when he went to these betting, because he'd never done that before, and he kind of felt conflicted because he's a Christian, but then he, well, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. He actually came out of some serious debt with some bets on Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And I believe the Lord gave him that, but, some would agree, disagree. But that video that was done, I really had done that because I felt like that I was supposed to honor Kim Clement. Mm-hmm. I also felt like this man was going to win because that's what I was hearing from the group of people that I was, that I trust, that I go to. The people that I ask things to, and they were all boldly stating this. Mm-hmm. I mean, from a battery of different respects, and this was very strong. This man is the next president, and the way that I had felt, though I couched it at the beginning of the video, it could be Hillary or Trump, and I largely did that. I didn't want to bring any shame to Christians that this had been said. But what I knew if anybody was going to take shame, it was going to have to be me. But what I had felt for myself was, if this man doesn't win, and these are the people that I listen to, and it's that bold on this, then I really don't need to be talking to anybody anyway, at least for a while. Right. If my judgment's that bad on this. Mm-hmm. But Kim Clement died about 2 weeks or a couple of weeks after the election. He lived to see probably his last and maybe largest prophecy come to pass. And also in that prophecy that Kim Clement laid out, he laid out some things that sort of look an awful lot like maybe the Gog-Magog war, some frictions between Russia and Iran and Saudi Arabia. These will probably deal with oil. A time of prosper for the United States. These are just other elements that are coming, according to his prophecy he gave there. You have clips now all over the internet, ones that I didn't even know existed. See, I just had that one. It was like the Lord gave me, this one prophecy I was working off of. He said, work with this one thing. Yeah. Well, other people have hunted out prophecies where Kim Clement back in, 2014, 2007, is talking about Donald Trump. There's one where he looks at the screen, he says, I feel like I'm standing in 2017. And it's good. There's been a turnaround. It's good. See, and that's an unusual statement. Why would someone say, I feel like I'm standing? He never lived to 2017. He died just before it. Yeah. But I feel like I'm standing in it. What he was stating was that you were going to have 7 years that were coming, that were going to be prosperous years for the United States. The rest of the world that he was describing would be like cats and dogs fighting it out, particularly Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran, the Middle East. And I don't know what that means, cats and dogs fighting it. It could mean a lot of things. Right. But for the United States, it would be good. Now, if you hit pause on that for a second, if you go over to the Orthodox rabbis, we're talking about the guys in the the Shabbat houses in Israel, the kind of guys they got the Torah there, they put a crown on top of it, they're on the floor crying and praying, these kind of places. Yeah. What these guys believe is that you're coming into, or at least the ones that I've spoken to, that you're coming into a Joseph period. Okay. And what that means, Joseph, of course, for 7 years, you've got you're collecting. There's more than enough because you've got a famine coming. So, and Joseph is also a 7-year period where you're collecting for the 7-year famine, and then after that you've got a drop. Now it's just what they believe. Sure. But whatever is coming next has implications on Israel, which is why I think it's also important. We're doing the Exodus next. Right. Yeah. Tell us. Well, actually, before that, we got to cut to commercial real quick. But when we come back, we want to ask Trey Smith about his next project on Exodus and see what else is in store. So we'll be back right after this.
I will ascend into heaven. The war began in Eden when the dragon, known as Nakash, lured Adam and Eve into sinning with the lie, "Ye shall be as gods." "I will exalt my throne above the stars of God." Soon, humans multiplied upon the earth, and rather than worship God, they fell down at the feet of dragons. "I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation." But it wasn't enough for the dragons. They wanted to do more than just own mankind. They wanted to destroy them, to forever keep them from re-entering the divine council. "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds." The war raged on, where fallen angels descended onto mountaintops, spreading fear and false doctrine. It is a war for the souls of men, and only a Savior's blood could change the outcome. "I will be like the Most High." Satan and his minions go by many names and wear many faces, but their strategy has always been to imitate God's truth. We call this war for men's minds the Great Inception. Learn the secret history of the spiritual war. Learn the names of the deceivers and what their true aims really are. Learn where they have struck and where they will strike again before it's too late. The Great Inception.
We're in the middle of a battlefield surrounded by an enemy that we've been told doesn't even exist. The pagan gods are imaginary, we've been taught, just lifeless blocks of wood and stone. The Great Inception shatters that illusion. It took me 2 years to pull this information together, research into archaeology, history, ancient languages, to show that the Bible stories you've known since childhood are actually literal accounts of supernatural warfare between God and the rebel gods who decided to reject the authority of their creator. My hope is that after reading The Great Inception, you come away with just one question. Why haven't we heard this in church before?
You've been fighting in a war against an enemy you've been told doesn't even exist. Skywatch TV wants to change that to prepare you for the battles ahead. Beginning March 7th, exclusively from Skywatch TV, the Cosmic War Collection finally arrives. Featuring 3 groundbreaking books, a 5-hour DVD, and a 7-hour audio series showing you how real the supernatural War of Kingdoms actually is. Reversing Hermon by acclaimed Bible and ancient language scholar Dr. Michael S. Heiser, and The Great Inception by Skywatch TV's Derek P. Gilbert. You'll learn how Christ's full mission has been misunderstood for 2,000 years. Not only did he come to shed his blood to redeem mankind, Jesus was on a mission to reverse the sin of the angelic watchers who descended on Mount Hermon. You'll also discover how Bible stories you've known since childhood were literal battles in the spirit realm between God and the gods who rebelled. When you order the Cosmic War Collection from Skywatch TV, you'll receive Reversing Hermon by Dr. Michael S. Heiser, The Great Inception by Derek P. Gilbert, a new, exclusive, never-before-offered deluxe hardcover collector's edition of the Book of Enoch. The Real Clash of the Titans DVD, a special, never-before-released video compilation with 5 hours of teaching on the long war between God and the gods. And The Unseen Adversary, a brand new audio series on MP3 disc with 7 hours of Derek P. Gilbert interviewing Dr. Michael Heiser on the Watchers, UFOs, and the Great Cosmic Rebellion of Satanic Forces. A value of more than $100, yours for just $29.95. The Cosmic War Collection, available beginning March 7th only from Skywatch TV. Know your enemy. Order the Cosmic War Collection beginning March 7th by calling 844-750-4985 or log on to skywatchtvstore.com.
Welcome back to Into the Multiverse. If you haven't had a chance to do so, make sure you subscribe, and you'll have access to all past, present, and future episodes of Into the Multiverse. Okay, so right before the break, you were talking about your next project on Exodus. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we're going to go down to Israel, and we're going to check this out. So And at present, well, this is so this will be the final filming of Exodus. Will be done in Israel, and we're gonna go see all of it. In fact, it's an interesting collection of guys that are going. So it's gonna be me running loose down there, and Rick, the rock star Rick Derringer. He goes. Well, he goes in the Rock and Roll Hall of that's just tentative, but it sounds like that's what we're doing. He gets inducted in the Hall of Fame, and then we're going to cruise around. Oh, yeah, man. Kick off the tour dates. We're going to Israel to go see if any of this stuff really is down there. So, no, he's a good dude. He's Rick and Jenda Derringer. They're just amazing. He's been doing music since, I think, like the 60s, And, in fact, I didn't even, because I was on the phone quite a few times with him, talking about doing this. And, I didn't follow as much of that music. In fact, Casper, who's in the Entities video, he did a lot of this same kind of music, and I know a little about it. And I remember one night I'm looking at pictures and stuff of Rick. I'm like, oh, those are large crowds, man. And I felt a little intense, it feels a little different. And Lance, this is I tell you what. This man, he's made the whales at the Smithsonian down there, that Titanic ship that they've got at Branson. They've got a big recreation of the Titanic ship there. Lance made the iceberg for the Titanic, and nobody can make an iceberg like Lance. To the aliens at Disney, boy, he makes some good-looking aliens too. We're going to go up. We're going to take a boys' trip to Israel. We're going to finish this Exodus thing off, and I couldn't think anybody better to go with. But yeah, man, the Exodus is real. You haven't seen anything yet. And this is a time when it needs to be laid in stone.
Yes.
That, not in a play game way, but in a real way. That these events about Israel, happened. And that parting of the Red Sea, you've got the 10 plagues. And each one of these represents an Egyptian god of Egypt, or goddess. So you get the frogs. This represents the god Happy. That's actually where you get the word happy.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's the joy of the Lord is your strength. It's not that. Well, and that's nothing to do with the word. It's not bad to say the word happy. There's so much what we do here is we don't even know. But each one represents a god of Egypt, beginning, of course, with the snake. And so this, the message for the snake to talk is where you're going. And each one is going to be worse than the last. And of course, Pharaoh is, each time coming to Moses and saying, Moses, could you go? Could you undo it for me? Could you undo it for me? And he can't kill Moses because, well, the people believe, and rightly so, that Moses is the only way that you're going to get any of this undone. So here's Pharaoh of Egypt has got to go beg and plead with Moses now. So we've gone from I'm Pharaoh to please, 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 can you? And Moses each time, look, just let the people go.
Yeah.
And finally, you get to a point. Now, finally the last place. So each of these represents a god of Egypt. We got to remember that the last god of Egypt, word Pharaoh, and that's a Hebrew word, Pharaoh. We never would have heard the word Pharaoh if it weren't for the Hebrews. That's a Hebrew word, and that means God King. Pharaoh is God, and the firstborn son of God, the God King, is Egypt right there. And so now on all of the other plagues, Pharaoh had came to Moses and said, can you undo it? Can you undo it? And Moses went and talked to God, and okay, I'll get rid of the frogs and the flies and all of this. And God had started to say, you know what, I'm going to make a difference between my people and your people. So I just want you to take a look, Pharaoh, since you're king of all Egypt there, you're God. Look here, how all your gods are attacking your people, and my people are just fine over here. Right? On the last one, they were to put the blood of the lamb on the Passover, and this is actually Passover time frame. We're going to be down there doing this. The end of the Exodus up to Israel. But they were to put the blood of the lamb on there, and that symbol of the Tav was a cross. And in the pre-Canaanite time periods, it was a cross they were painting. I believe some would disagree, but I believe that's what it was—a cross on the doorpost. And this would save the firstborn sons. It says in the Pure Papyrus that the firstborn sons, from princes to paupers in all of Egypt, were dashed against the walls with invisible hands. So Pharaoh, God King of all Egypt, on Passover, was holding his dead son in his hands, and he went to Moses and said, Moses, can you undo it? Mm-hmm. Can you undo it? And Moses says, no, Pharaoh. Goodbye, Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. And this is when because there was only one Son of God that would be raised from the dead on Passover. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite lines is Pharaoh, the priest look at Pharaoh says, I'm still Pharaoh of Egypt, but there is no Egypt.
Yeah.
There is no Egypt. You know, and then they would go through the Red Sea, mm-hmm. and the water is always you're going into whether it's the baptism or the flood mm-hmm. that you're crossing over the abyss and coming out to the rebirth on mm-hmm. the other side mm-hmm. on the way to the promised land, and that's always going to take a fight.
Yeah,
and so yeah, man, we're going to do this Exodus, and I think there's a lot of surprises in there, and I just think that these are powerful years, Josh.
Amen.
We're coming into.
Yeah, amen. I couldn't agree with you more, and that sounds like a really exciting project. With about a minute left, I think we have time for maybe one last question. I'll let you take that.
Out of everything, what most do you want people to take away from your interviews and these videos that you've been putting out?
Well, it's just, these are all about Jesus. Whether it's for the evolution look, you're in a time frame where a lot of this junk, they've been pitching monkey stories at universities, and they've had people getting on to them about this on the phone. Mm-hmm. You got students out there with degrees they spent time for mm-hmm. evolution biology, for example.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, what is that guy going to do now? Look, cut this out. Mm-hmm. No, but the stuff, no matter what it is, they've been fighting against one single set of pages, mm-hmm. and that's the Bible. And these are the most precise set of pages on the planet Earth. Yeah. And they lead to one thing, and that's important. And that's what these videos are about.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job, and there's a lot of people out there that agree. If you haven't had a chance to check out Trey Smith's material, actually, where can people find your videos online?
Just godinanutshell.com.
Godinanutshell.com. Make sure you check that out. Well, we want to thank you all for watching us today and joining us once again into the multiverse. And as always, take care and God bless.